Ready? Yep. Call to order a regular meeting of Warren City Council Tuesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Green.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Watts.
Here.
Councilman Kabazinski.
Present.
Councilwoman Rogency.
Here.
Councilman Papandrea.
Here.
Councilwoman Moore is present. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is for adoption of the consent agenda. So moved with discussion, please.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, I would like to move item 4L to there will be 14L.
Okay. Any others?
Mr. President,
Ms. Rogency?
I'd like to move 4M to the regular agenda.
M as in Mary? What will 4M be?
That's
14M.
set a public hearing.
Any others? I'll call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kabazinski?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
Yes. Item 5, adoption of the agenda. So moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. First, remove 7A at the request of the council office. Remove item 12D at the request of the planning department. Add a resolution approving proposed settlement of pending litigation. That will be 13D. What was item 4L will be 14L. What was item 4M will be 14M.
What was 13?
D?
What's C? I've only got an A and B on 13.
Okay, it's C, sorry. 13C.
13C.
Yeah.
Is which one?
Is the settlement, pre-litigation.
Got it. Any others?
Mr. President,
Ms.
can you just
Rogency?
repeat that really quickly?
Sure. Item 7A is removed. Item 12D is removed. What was item 4L is now 14L. What was 4M is now 14M. The addition of 13C, which is a resolution approving the settlement that we discussed at the closed session.
Thank you.
Any additional? Call the question. All in favor on the amended agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters. Motion to receive and file.
Support with discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Rogency. Discussion, Ms. Rogency.
There is an item that I have on the calendar from April of 22, I believe, which is 4415 East 8 Mile, which was a request to have property maintenance review it. I went by the property yesterday, and while I'm not a property maintenance inspector, there did not appear to be any issues with parking on sidewalk or open storage. So I would remove it from the calendar.
Thank you. Any additional on 6A? 6A? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
6B, discussion in Ray resident neighborhood concerns. So moved. I have
Support Lafferty.
an item.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Any resident concerns?
I do.
President?
Mr. Kabazinski?
So this is a continuing problem because of the construction on Mound Road. One of our commissioners here in the city of Warren has indicated there is a continuing problem with speeding on Curie Street between 10 Mile Road on Frajo, and is asking for enforcement efforts to be stepped up in that area. There are many children that play on that street, and it's being used as a pass-through. Evidently, Curie is the only street that goes straight through without having to make a left or a right-hand turn to go through into another side street. So he would like to have enforcement increased in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kabazinski. Ms. Moore?
Thank you. I attended with some other council people, an event at Fitzgerald High School last week, a luncheon for seniors. And as I was walking around the tables, two residents brought up the fact that they go to the libraries and they like to do arts and crafts. And they were told at two of the libraries that they can't do arts and crafts anymore because the council cut their arts and crafts budget. I assured these residents that council did not cut their budget at all. I went back and double checked that there was no cut to their budget whatsoever this year. So I would please ask the director of the library to please correct the information that the people in two different libraries are telling residents, and that if they are out of money and they need money for arts and crafts, that they should come to council with a request for appropriation of funds to cover that. You know, this is a big city and we are not poor, and we can probably afford arts and crafts supplies at the library. So if the director would please take care of that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Any additional resident concerns?
Mr. President,
Mr. Watts?
I got two ongoing concerns. One is 9 Mile in Panama. This has been on the books since mid-July. There's a vacant lot with a camper and junk stored all over the place. It's obvious somebody's living in the camper on the vacant lot. I know the blight had been out there at one time. Somebody sent me a picture of a ticket that was posted on the tree. And, you know, if a resident parks their camper in their driveway in front of their house, they're threatened with having it towed out. But this has been going on and on and on, and I would hope that property maintenance or whoever's responsible for that needs to get that resolved over there. I'm getting a lot of complaints from that area. And then there's another one, I don't have the exact address, but 29,000 block of Flanders. I received a letter again tonight. I brought this up before, and I received a letter tonight that has multiple signatures on it. There's a problem with rodents coming out of a house and a van that's parked in a driveway that hasn't moved in well over a year. You can see the rodents coming in and out of there. The yard is littered with dog feces, and they've submitted pictures to property maintenance of the garage is just packed full of garbage, but property maintenance says they can't do anything with it unless the garage door is open. But, you know, when you got a rodent problem like that infesting a neighborhood, I think that we could do better. So I'm hoping that they can look into it. If they need an address, property maintenance can contact me. Otherwise, I'll send it over. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? I had two, 4514 and 4481 Marlowe. 4514, from the resident, appears that it's a contractor that lives in this house, and either they're demoing houses and bringing everything back and dumping it on their boulevard, hoping the city will pick it up. But it's every couple days, it's just piled up with what looks like a kitchen or a bathroom, and that's not fair to the neighborhoods to have that piled up there every day. There's places that contractors can take debris, but it shouldn't be at the cost of the residential neighborhoods. The other one is 4481 Marlowe. That one we abated a few weeks ago, and they said that it's not secure. So if the administration can get someone out there to make sure that it's secure from people going in it. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Lafferty.
a note about 4481 Marlowe. That is the one that I brought up that's been vacant for 20 plus years.
Long time.
And it's been brought to council twice to ask for that house to be secured.
Yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of activity. People know how to get into the house for God knows what.
Any additional? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue funds. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore. Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. President,
I'm sorry, Mr. Watts.
I don't have the check number handy, but there's a check to Dorsey Schools for paramedic program that we haven't authorized. We haven't, there's no money in the budget for that, so I'd like to table that till we get some answers.
No, it's not part of the settlement.
The ones are on there for the EMS Academy that we approved last meeting and the Fire Academy that we approved, but there's no money in the budget that we appropriated for the paramedic program, so we need to find out where that's coming from. So I'd like to request a table until the next meeting until we get an answer.
Support.
Motion to table by Watts, support by Moore. All in favor of tabling that check?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Roll call. Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes, or no, sorry.
Mr. Papandrea.
No.
Mr. Kabzinski.
No.
Green votes yes. Item's tabled. Balance of the checks. Call the question. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Kabzinski.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Kabzinski.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 7-0. Next item.
Audience.
Members of the audience who would like to address council this evening may do so under this portion. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. When there's 1 minute left, I'll let you know, and when there's 3 minutes, I'll ask you to wrap up. The first speaker is Lori Harris.
Good evening, City Council. Woo, what a few weeks we've had. I come before you as a resident of nearly 40 years. I've been coming before the council for about 5 years because I've been trying to get neighborhood illegal pot grows shut down. I understand this is a losing battle because the police won't ticket and prosecutors won't prosecute, but still I persist in finding ways to make my community a good place to live. Mr. Kabzinski, I tried talking to you personally before the meeting, and I'm ashamed at your response. Your behavior on Saturday was appalling. Clearly, you have found energy that you have never displayed at this table, nor at any committee of the whole, to trash the good name of honest and respectable citizens. Do you understand that I have a right to say what I want at this microphone, but I should not fear repercussions from any group that doesn't agree with me? Plus, your answer to the question about taxes was completely wrong, FYI. Mr. Papandrea, I can say the same thing about you. While I appreciate your support of certain groups, you've also decided that you can demean a citizen that you were elected to represent. You should be better than that. You are in public as a city council member, and you should not be calling people out. I have a right to say what I believe. All right, so I want to talk about the thing on the agenda about parks. People need to understand that renovating the parks is a big job, and honestly, I've not been assured that our current director has been doing a great job. It's clear that our city has a problem with ADA compliance, and it's evident in the parks too. And I have many concerns about the update for Helmich Park. The residents need to be involved and not just one group. If we cram everything into one space, we are removing an empty space to play. There are way too many questions about this park to be bullied into making rash decisions. We need a place to have festivals, to have art shows, to have concerts, and it should not be on a 7-lane road of traffic in a cement area around a broken fountain. And this is a message to Jim Fouts. Let me make sure he hears me. Stop it, Mr. Mayor. You're damaging our city reputation, causing tremendous conflict in your own administration. 2 of your department heads should be reprimanded or fired for creating a lie about a situation and coming to a meeting to threaten me. And 2, violating the Open Meetings Act and my right at the microphone by bullying me and pushing me away. Your antics are getting in the way of getting any good work done here. I demand transparency. I demand that the DDA comply with the audit. I demand that you stop trying to destroy my city. And I demand that you address ADA compliance, crime, homelessness, food deserts, care for our seniors. Stop undermining the good that this council's trying to do. And council, keep up the good work.
Blair Roberts.
Good evening, council. My name is Blair Roberts, and I live in Warren, Michigan, and Landmark Estates. And I'm here in support of item 13B by Angela. I've been living in Landmark for 2 years now, to where I never had to deal with so many issues. Especially they just haven't been answered. The worst is probably the sewer problem that has caused me to become sick numerous times, as well as kept my children from coming to see me because, you know, their mothers just don't want them to get sick as well. We have so many residents with the same problems, probably more. We barely have water to even take showers, wash our clothes, as well as being told our water isn't even safe to drink. We have rats that destroy our trailers, move in, destroy our homes. We have unoccupied trailers that's easy accessible to children and homeless people, as well as addicts who come in there and do whatever they want there. We have tried everything in our power to remain calm and just shine a brighter light on this treatment we have been enduring and get help for the people who are scared to speak, as well as the elderly and the children who don't even have a voice yet. It's something that have to be done about these people operation, and Angela, who has been doing everything in her power to get a light shined on these problems. There's also 2 people who is here that don't want to speak, who aren't comfortable yet, but they have been dealing with these same items that we have been doing, and as well, they're here in support of item 13B. Thank you.
Thank you. David Denmorow.
Good evening, council. My name is David Denmark. I'm also a resident of Landmark Estates. I came to touch base on a few things that, number one, I'm in support of Angela and 13B. So I'm a resident with the same, in lieu of characteristics that Mr. Blair was involved in, except I have to barricade my children, which I now have 5 as of last week, into one room in my home because the rodent infestation has become so bad in my community that this is the only remedy for me at the current time. So I'm also here to touch base with some of the community efforts and trying to get a hold of the management, the ownership, the shedding light on some of the damages that the investors are doing when they come in and they purchase a community and they change the community without anyone knowing. Primarily affecting lower income citizens, where you're putting them on the brink of unaffordability. You know, I'm also a low income person that stays amongst others, and we all have, you know, like we take care of each other, you know. So none of us are in secrecy about what we bring to the table here, and we'd like to, you know, support and ask for help. And Angela's 13B, I'm sorry, on the agenda for tonight. You know, like you said, it affects the children in the neighborhood. You know, we've done some extreme things to try and fight back for some of the most part, but we have personal attorneys involved as well. And we brought it to the city officials' attention, you know, John Pellizzeri and various other parts of the city. So in that, I would just ask that the council, you know, kind of support Angela and her cause, for that matter, and 13B. You know, I'm not very political, but I think that this is something that addresses and benefits a lot more than just what meets the eye here and the people, like he said. There's people terrified to come before the management and the ownership of these places in fear of eviction, which they've been very successful at within the city, standing on very valid reasons in which they withheld rent, and we're demanding some sort of help, and we're just kind of refused. So I'm hoping that we can get more light shined on it for Angela's agenda for 13B. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
Naeem Chowdhury.
Good evening, Council President, Honorable Council President, Council members, Madam Secretary. My name is Naeem Chowdhury, City of Hamtramck. I came to support fellow Bangladeshi residents who live in Warren and all others who loves parks, love development, love cricket. I'm a current council member nearby City of Hamtramck. I understand how resolution work. When a resolution is passed, it charges the city staff to do something. In this case, the resolution called for 2 cricket pitches and soccer field to be built. I have a few questions. Have the drawings been engineered? Has it been bid out? Have contractors been hired? As I understand, the answer is no. Why has not this project moved forward? The city allocated the money. Who has the project been assigned to? The council act as a body, not as individual members. When the resolution was passed, it meant the city manager or the city officials, staff, supposed to follow the direction. Or the city manager should be accountable for that resolution. You are not following the state law. Why haven't you done what council has voted?
1 minute.
Thank you. Here's the thing, folks. You were elected by the people. You should represent everybody. And you want to bring the transparency to the city. I lived here about 15 years ago. I moved back to Hamtramck with business. My families still live in Warren for more than 25 years. You want to bring the diversity in the community, bringing other things to the city, making the project, the cricket pitch, the Homage Park. I've been going there for more than 30 years. It will show the world that you have a diversity in the community. I would appreciate that you move on with your project, and I want to thank you for your time and moving on with the project. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
God bless you. God bless America.
I can't read this one. I can't read the writing.
Dhruv Talgi, maybe?
Talbe, last name? 21019 Lip Fever. I got the street name right.
Hi there. Apologize for my handwriting.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi there. My name is Dhruv. Apologize for my handwriting.
That's okay.
I've come here to speak in favor of the cricket ground at Helmich Park. It seems like there's been a lot of talk and a lot of allusions in these meetings about funding the cricket park, and a lot of dragging of the feet of the council members here in processions to properly fund the building of a cricket ground at the park, as well as the overall attempts to rehabilitate the park. I have to ask why specifically that this cricket ground is causing so much contention. I understand that not every resident will use a cricket ground, just like not every resident uses a baseball field or a tennis court. or a hockey rink. So it seems to me like the only reason that all this foot dragging is occurring is a resolute unwillingness to listen to the Bangladeshi people of the city of Warren, and I think that needs to be called out, and I think that this park needs to be funded, just like the needs of all people of the city need to be met. Thank you.
Thank you. Masker Kajar.
Good evening, everybody. This is Masker Kajar. I'm a proud resident of Warren City, and I was a proud a viewer last year when the City Council approved the project Warren City Helmich Park project. So my interest today, my interest to talk about the community issue. So that's agenda number 14K, I believe. The consideration and adoption of a resolution allocating 5.7 million in ARPA funding for parks and recreation projects. So here I just wanted to go back a little bit because I was a proud viewer and also listener for that time. I was present over here when the council approved that project. So actually, you know, we're a proud American, we feel it. But when we see like sometimes discrimination happens, so then we feel very bad because last meeting so far I heard one citizen of Warren, so he was his voice was like a kind of discrimination against racism, against our religion, or against some community. So I believe the council should take steps against for that, and also that's the American Constitution believe that. So hopefully the city will follow the American Constitution. And my interest is about that about this project. So if City Council allocated fund to fulfill that project, I think here's a big crowd. I think can you raise your hand, everybody who support this project? So everybody is over here to allocate the fund for this project, and I hope today is going to be appropriate fund will approved by the meeting today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Larry Schaefer.
Council, I have spoke to all of you on PFAS to learn more on the subject. The mayor isn't here, and I have tried to get a meeting, but he's a very busy man, he's told me these days. His exact words were, I'll set up a time and have my secretary get in touch. That was over a month ago. I called again and still no response. So to this, Mr. Fouts, as I called you about 3 years ago, you're a liar. Mr. Papandreou told me that anyone who doesn't attend a council meeting, in his words, is ignorant, stupid, and dumb. That means Mr. Fouts is ignorant, stupid, and dumb, and a liar. I asked Mr. Papandreou what the acceptable percentage of cancer would be in his opinion. And he said 0%, which I agree with wholeheartedly. I then asked, out of 8 homes, what would be acceptable? No answer. I said, what about 7 out of the 8 homes? Is that acceptable? His words were, oh no. I agree. Again, my wife is number 7 of 8 homes in an area. Why then would you vote for more trash to be burned? Money, much more of it coming in. So in ending, I say this to Mr. Papandreou. If you were implying my wife, myself, my neighbors are ignorant, stupid, and dumb, if you truly feel like you say, without knowing a situation, what ignorant, stupid, and dumb is, I invite you to join me in the gym for an enlightening moment. Anytime, any place. You call me. set him up with my number. I'll leave it right here if you want.
Thank you. Henry Duong.
Tell Mr. Fox he can come too if he gets the time.
Good evening. Good evening, council members. My name is Henry Duong. First of all, thank you for your time. I am here to voice my concern on the council's delay of using the $5.7 million ARPA funding for the Parks and Recs project. Warren City residents deserve safe and clean park facilities. In particular, I am in support of the addition of the cricket fields at Helmich Park. Cricket is a popular sport with the South Asian community and the Bangladeshi community in particular, which makes up of 1/6 of Warren. Neighboring cities around us have built cricket fields to serve their residents, so it is time for Warren to do the same. The Bangladeshi community pays taxes and makes up a significant portion of businesses in this city. It is well overdue. We have talked about this resolution for over a year. It is time for action. Let's build the cricket fields and upgrade our parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky Hayes. Patrick, can you turn that microphone for the audience members up a little bit? Thank you.
I would like to let the council, I would ask the council that they let the audience know things during their announcements. I would like to have you tell them that the seat that they're sitting in, the space that they're in, is not private. That people around them will take a photo of your phone, and then they will turn around and they will share it with other people in this audience. And if that's not despicable enough, they will post it on Facebook. So I just want everybody to know that where you're sitting is not private. I'd also like to know everyone who is blocked by the mayor that he has gone full out QAnon. He made a post on November 6th on Facebook spewing his hate for the president. He's looking forward to Kevin McCarthy becoming president after President Biden and Vice President Harris gets impeached. I wonder where he got this idea to do a coup attempt on the council. I was under the impression that ARPA funds are to be used to help all people, not just, not just one particular group. You know, if you're going to use ARPA funds for parks, we need to have every single bathroom open and ADA compliant. We have, how do you approve $12 million to do one park when Dino can't even get plants planted? I went to a meeting with Dino about the cricket field, and I was so disappointed to find out that the Lions Club of Warren raised the funds, took care of the pavilion at Helmich Park, and they worked with 2 mayors, but it ended with Fouts. Then we found out that the Macomb County Cricket Association helped create and maintain the cricket field at Trombley. Their relationship also ended with Fouts. What I'm hearing is that there's 2 different groups. One wants to play and will be fine with a cricket field at Shaw Park, and the other one wants a world-class field. They need to raise money to make a complex like Jimmy John's and earn money from it. By the way, Jimmy John's is also a cricket field. Do not interrupt me. I watched the Planning Commission video, and how did a member of the mosque vote on approving a thing for the mosque? When they were asked about traffic, the member said, "It's not a problem." Well, it's my subdivision. It's a problem. I can't even get into my own street. We have local businesses that are closed on Fridays because parking is a problem. So, they need to know this. And I have been, hate to say this, but people have been calling other people up about being racist. But I'm going to call somebody else out, because we have a member who sits on a commission who had a thingy-do in front of City Hall where they held a protest and they screamed about their hatred for the Jewish people. Hello. This person needs to be removed from the commission. This is not a member to be on a Warren commission. And since we're talking about commissions, you really need to have people who will support the commissions. We haven't had a meeting in the last 2 ADA meetings because people don't show up.
3 minutes. If you can wrap up. Thank you. Dim Mark.
Hi everyone. I'll try to speak loudly. I'm pretty soft-spoken. My name is Dim Mong. First and foremost, thank you for your service to the community and for the space tonight. Like many people in this room, I care about this community. I care about the Bangladeshi community and all of the other communities. And my family's journey, my journey to this country was hard-fought. We immigrated from Burma, a neighbor of Bangladesh, in 2005 so that we could keep practicing our Christian religion, so that we could have religious freedom in this country. We left for many of the reasons immigrants leave: better economic opportunities, freedom to live as we are, and political freedom. This includes showing up to meetings like this, making our needs heard as tax-paying citizens, bettering the city day by day, year by year. Showing up and speaking at a place like this is incredibly brave for people who would have been met with violence and death back home. The people who show up time and time again, from Muni to Delwar, are impossibly courageous. Yet this courage, this duty to their community and their city is repaid with a lack of transparency, lack of respect, and lies from some people on this council and from the community. We will show up as often as we need to. We will gather more community, working with many different groups: Jewish folks, Viet folks, Burmese folks like me, Indian Americans, white, black, Latino. This is a coalition. We will canvass, phone bank, organize, and do so much more, whatever is necessary to make sure the needs of this people are not sidelined or shoved to a corner. As the councilor said earlier this meeting, this is a big city, and we are not poor. We have enough for everyone, for better parks, for ADA compliant parks, cricket fields, for soccer fields. There is enough for everyone. These are not niche needs. I grew up as a disabled working class person. I resonate with so many of the needs of people in this community, but until change is made, until you pass the resolution to ensure that parks are funded, until Helmich has a cricket field, we will keep showing up until you show respect to everyone in this community. And thank you so much for your time, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Delwar Ansar. Delwar Ansar.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Delwar Ansar. I'm Bangladeshi American, a citizen of this city. Today I will share some information with you all that will be good for you to know. My uncle migrated to America in 1949. Through and later through him, all our family migrated to USA. I have more than 200 relatives living in Warren City. I'm not giving the count of friends or acquaintances because I don't know the exact number, but I can say it is around 25,000 Bangladeshi American live in this city. Bangladeshis respect everyone, respect their neighbors, no matter who they are or what their religion, and shows love to everyone equally and respect everyone's choice. Living together, respecting everyone's choice, this should happen to everyone when this city is known as a diverse city. That means we believe in different culture, religion, and our preference will be different. And respecting each other's preference, culture, religion is very important if you want to create a good social environment. When you respect others' choice and value their rights as your own, they will become your friends. Actually, I am here today to support the last agenda, which is park and recreation related. Please, don't table it with any excuse.
1 minute.
It is sad that I have came to this podium probably 15 times to talk about the same thing is more sad than that to me. Last October 26, when the council secretary at the committee of whole meeting said that Helmich Park specifically cricket ground resolution was not passed. I'm very sad to hear that because this council passed this resolution on November 9, 21 last year. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys are gonna pass this agenda today. Thank you all.
Thank you. Syed Ahmed.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the honorable city councils. And my name is Syed Ahmed, and I'm a resident of Warren City. And I have been living here for a few years now and been around in Michigan for about 20 years. But I'd like to share a few information about cricket. I know most of you have heard about the needs of cricket, but I will go over about some information like, what's the good outcome of it, what can it develop around our city. So firstly, I would like to share that I shared the other day some information that first ever international cricket match was played between USA and Canada in 1844. So mind you and point it, first ever international. So that means you're not introducing cricket to United States, nor United States is being introduced to cricket. It's been part of the heritage and it's been part of United States history. It just was overlooked over the year because the baseball was more popular than cricket, but it is coming back to United States again. In 2024, United States will be hosting the Cricket World Cup, and USA is playing in this World Cup. So it will be a great thing, and it will bring more excitement to United States for cricket. But with that being said, cricket is not a recreational sport anymore in the United States. Professional cricket player who plays for United States, they get a salary and they get good contract now. By putting a cricket pitch in Warren, you are basically supporting for someone to have a career and also a recreational. And as I mentioned the other day, that once we come from Bangladesh, we come into a different environment, but a cricket field will provide something that if teenagers who comes here, he will have some similar platform to refrain when he comes here, rather than choosing wrong paths, going into drugs and other stuff.
1 minute.
Thank you. And I would like to say it also brings revenue for the city because there are so many tournaments in Michigan that will rent the cricket field on weekends. So it's not only good things for the community, and it's not only for one community. As I mentioned, if USA is playing, but Bangladeshi community is just being the ambassador for the game in Warren because we are the only one playing, and if we do not have field to play, we cannot showcase it. And as I want to mention that, if we have heard that there was a resolution motion for Helmich Park, so I would urge and request that you guys consider us for a field, and also would like to know that if you cannot, why you cannot, and what's the difficulty you're facing from you. So if you can be upfront with us and be more, I would say, be more vocal about it and let us know so we know what's the problem that we are facing rather than going back and forth about it on every council meeting. Thank you so much, and thank you. Have a great day. Have a great night.
Thank you. Farouk Maya.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Farouk Mia. I'm a resident of Warren, and I'm here to support our Bangladeshi community against the racism and to support the cricket field. Our community is growing here, and we need more cricket ground for our people. And we request this council to take immediate action to the park and recreation project and give us the more cricket field for everyone, and the soccer field and everything will be good for our community and for everyone. So I request to council to bring this to agenda and make it quick for us, and it's been sitting here for a long time. There is no action, and we just to tell everyone, we might be minority right now, but we will have our representation in this council also very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Afsar Hussain.
Good evening, council members. I'm Afsar Hussain, a Warren resident since 2012. I'm a cricket player playing cricket in Michigan since 2006. I led the Michigan State team twice in US Open, Florida. I brought more than 20 international players in Michigan, but unfortunately I could not host them, any of them in Warren, because we do not have any proper grounds. So I know the value of a ground in Warren, especially since I'm playing cricket since 2006. I'm also a member of Macomb cricket team and Bangladesh Tigers, who has been playing in Twombly Park since 2005 or 6. Another thing I wanted to make sure, I think you guys are all aware why we are all here to get the cricket field approved. Another thing I want to remind that I never thought of voting is so important, but I think it is time. I have more than 500 family members. I think it is time I will start giving them right for next election to vote for somebody who will speak for me and who will represent my agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Qazi Islam.
Honorable President, Warren City officials, respected community, good evening. I am Qazi Islam, resident of Warren. I am really pleased to give me opportunity to deliver my speech on behalf of community about Helmich Park. As I know, there was a bill passed last year, November 9th, to establish 2 cricket fields, soccer fields, improvements of pavilion, bathrooms, walkways, and parking lot, etc. At present, the largest diversity community are living in Warren. Many people are moving Warren every day from different cities, states as well. Nowadays, cricket is one of the famous games in the world. Our new generation, they love cricket very much. If we established a cricket field in Helmich Park, it is a really good news and timeable decision, because this is a huge need and community demand as well. Our new generation will play and enjoy there rather going to any crime or unexpected incident. Not only that, our community, it will be much more benefited in different ways. Therefore, I am here as a community representative and giving my strong opinion, support, and demand to establish a cricket field in Helmich Park.
1 minute.
Also, we have passed 5.7 million ARPA fund. I have a question. Could you use this fund to spend for the cricket field in Helmich Park? If it is too delayed to get final approval for Helmich Park fund release, again, we have to stand for fundamental right, not for fight. At last,
We are a largest community. We here to raise our voice that our demand needs cricket field in Helmich Park. Also, we have elected all council members to obey every single vote. I humbly requesting to the city council today, please take care it seriously, otherwise it's gonna be make huge impact and effect in our generation and present community as well. Hope we will get a good result and positive idea, and thanks again all officials and community as well, and good luck and good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Howard.
Good evening. As it continues to get darker earlier, I feel like I get tired more often. And today I was trying to paint my daughter's dollhouse, and I had to leave to come here because regardless of how tired I am of the day and work, I'm tired of games. I'm tired of inconsistencies. I'm tired of lies, and I'm tired of people pinning each other against one another. So many people are concerned, are you team mayor or team council, but who's on the team for the residents? Residents come here week in and week out, whether you talk about Tony Baker, who's adamant about the ADA compliance, which he should be, and I can resonate with him, whether you have residents that come here and talk about their living conditions at a trailer park, or the Bengali community that comes here every often and talk about a cricket field. People just want representation. We just want equality, and we want a government that works for us, because that's why we elect officials, to work for us and not their personal feelings about what they personally want. We elected individuals. I voted for several of you to represent me, and I just don't feel like that's been the case. And regardless of how tired I am, I'm gonna keep coming just like many others, because when my daughter inherits my house, I want her to know that her dad fought for equality, her dad fought for the community, and that's it. If I can hand that legacy off to her, that would be great. But I just challenge you, what is the legacy that you're gonna hand off? At some community meetings, certain members of this council were adamant to condemn the racism that happened here on stage and the preferential treatment that certain citizens continually get by this council. I would love that same council member to address the racism that took place, and he was adamant about racism has no place here in the city, and we keep pretending like it's not an issue. When my dad moved into the city 20 plus years ago, he had 4 neighbors sell their houses because a black man moved on their street.
1 minute.
When we moved into our house 7 years ago, our neighbor came up and told us how black people are ruining the community and cussed us out and said, we have no place here. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If we allow some people to be mistreated, whether it's by its property management or whether the lack of following through by this council, it will spread. I just want injustice to stop. I want the city to function. And none of us want to be here, but we're here for a reason and we're here for a cause, and we're just asking for a decision to be made and the right. I ask for you not to table it. Dino has been doing an amazing job recently in the parks. Staff is growing, and the beautiful park that he finished at Austin Dennis. And if I'm going to criticize someone, I'm also going to give them their just due. And so I'm glad. I've never seen acrylic backboards at a basketball court in my entire life at a city park. And that park is gorgeous now. Still waiting on the playground to get finished, pulled up, but as soon as it's done, me and my kids will be there. So I just ask you to fight for the residents and not just fight amongst each other and against the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Money Rahman.
You know, I gotta say, I'm here tonight. I should be with my son, my 6-year-old, who's an avid Avengers fan. You know, Wakanda Forever is out there, so, but I'm here instead to talk to you guys. Good evening, council members. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Monee Rahman. I am a mother as well as a longtime Warren resident. I'm in District 33. And I am here tonight to express my concerns about the recent turn of events that have transpired in our community regarding the park renovations. Agenda K. I'm not going to stand here and tell you statistics and data because you have heard of all of it. You have had a year to hear all of it. As a community, we deserve the things that enhance our livelihood. I believe we have waited long enough, a year to be exact. We cannot have the agenda item on park renovations sit any longer. Let it not be tabled so we can have a decision by tonight. Additionally, our Warren Community Hellmich Park is very unique. It sits at the center of many other cities. This is where we gather to celebrate. We hold our cultural picnics there, the Eid prayer there, sporting events, birthdays, pretty much everything. We choose that location, amongst others, because it is accessible for our friends and families to be there. Our communities are diverse, so we do have diverse needs, but celebrating, laughter, those are things of shared value to all of us. Historically, marginalized communities of colors have always been othered and discriminated against. We will not be silenced.
1 minute.
With that being said, I want to emphasize to everyone present here the need for inclusive decision-making. At Hellmich, if we can have volleyball, pickleball, baseball, soccer, we certainly can include cricket. All the children should have a space where they can belong and grow. I want to reiterate that the Bangladeshi community is here and it is here to stay. Let Warren be the model city of where it can be, where it respects and values all of its community members. Let's send a message out that we are in fact shifting to the needs of the changing demographic of our city so that we all can live in a thriving and happy community. Thank you. And we belong at Hellmich too.
Tracy Alam.
My name is Tracy. Thank you guys. Good evening. I have lived in Warren a long time. I have raised 4 children here, 3 who just graduated from Warren Mount High School. I'm here to support the cricket field. And I noticed over the last 5 years our neighborhood has changed. And nobody likes change, but change is always a good thing. We need to stop being scared and change for our community, because at the end of the day, we have to unite to make our neighborhood strong again. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Dr. MD Alam.
Good evening. On this very day, November 15, 2022, I'd like to stand before this great council in front of my great Bangladeshi American community. President Patrick Green, Secretary Mindy Moore, and Assistant Secretary Jonathan Lafferty, and all the respected council members. I am Dr. MD Alam, the President of Alliance of Bangladeshi American and the South Asian American Labor Michigan chapter, a veterans of Iraq and Afghan war, a first generation of Bangladeshi American. And we are proud to be a member of this community. I am here today because what happened and taken place last council meeting. I have a great news for my neighbor, a citizen who called my entire community. I'm going to tell you that, no, I'm not upset, I'm not mad, but I am really, really feeling that maybe it is time to educate somebody. My neighbor, if you call all my race, I will invite you to my home. We sit down and we will eat a dinner. But I will not allow you to make any racial slur. At the same time, I understand that we have the dignity to have freedom of speech. 4 years ago, the President of the United States, America, Donald J. Trump, called the all Muslim as a racist, called the African American the second-class citizen, called the Hispanic American like they are not belongs here. He was a racist man. Today I proclaimed as a citizen that Mayor of Hamtramck is a racist man, but that doesn't allow a citizen to say whatsoever. I will stand with my firm belief that you have a freedom of speech, but not all speech are protected. So I will tell every citizen, you can call me a racist, but don't call my race, don't call my community. The second thing I've been hearing about the cricket and all this renovation. Look, I'm not here to support whatever park and ground is. I'm here to tell you if there's a politics between the mayor and the council, we need to stop this egg and chicken game. We need to see that what is the betterment for the community. If there is a validity that we can move forward with a cricket ground, our young adults and the generation, and that will flourish our community, please, I demand a cricket field, whether it is Shaw Park or Holmes Park. I don't care, give us field. Number two, can we move forward? Do we need budget? Do we need balance? Do we need the millage? Whatever it's need, if it is feasible, let's do it. Warren has 5,400 Bangladeshi homes that are owned by the Bangladeshi Americans. We are big contributors to this community, to this Warren city. So I will stand before this community. Yes, I will ask one more time. If and when the mayor is a racist man, but still as a citizen, I could make that comment. I am not mad with that guy who called my race as a racist comment. You are invited to my house for sit down a dinner.
3 minutes.
Let's put this set aside. Give us that we can have a life, liberty, and pursue happiness. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Mahbouba Mori.
That's right.
Okay. Good evening, Council. My name is Mahbouba Mori. I am one of the City Planning Commissioner. However, I am here to support the community on Agenda K, right? But one thing I want to mention that I am a U.S. citizen. Before I identify myself as a Bengali Muslim woman, I identify myself as a U.S. citizen. The reason is because I am a U.S. taxpayer. I'm raised here. I'm not born here. However, all my siblings are. I grew up here. I work here. I do everything here. I've been living in the city of Warren for a very long time. I lived in Hamtramck before, but we moved here very, very long time. I've been living here a very long time. One of the main things I want to mention, and there's some confusion that's going on, and I was confused too. We had the director from Parks and Recreation come to the town hall meeting, and he clarified the fact that the money is going toward making all the parks better. It's working on the bathrooms, the parking lots, everything. It's not only going for cricket. That's not the only thing it's being worked on. Us as a community, the Bengali community coming out here and talking for it, they're not only supporting one thing that is going to be worked on. We, all of us, the city of every single citizen is using all these parks. They are going to be benefiting from all these items. So that's one thing I want to put away. Another thing that was brought up is it's taking away some of the soccer fields. That is not correct, according to, if I want to quote the director, he mentioned the fact that is not correct, that it is not taking away any of the parks. Also, when I heard the meeting, I noticed the fact that one of the council member made a comment that the plans was not set up. He showed us the plans that was. So he showed us and presented the plans that was. The money needs to be allocated right now for those plans to take actions. So I urge the city, all the council member that is sitting for us, all the community, not only the Bengali community, you're not only representing one, you are representing everyone. Please make your decision on this. I am here to support the agenda for the resolution, allocating that money for Parks and Recreation. It is going to be bringing on a cricket field. Cricket is a game that is played by many different communities, not only Bengali, and that has been mentioned over and over. We are the ambassador for this, but we're not the only people that will play the game. Please make your decision on this tonight and let us know. Let the community be heard. And thank you.
Thank you. Zakavil Shamim. Couldn't tell if it's a K or not.
Good afternoon, honorable council members, and I'm here today. I'm not talking about the cricket field. I'm requesting that all council members, please don't play the dirty politics like a third world. We know what the politics is. Everybody know what we are doing there, why we are here, how gonna make it happen to the cricket field. So I am requesting to all council members, please support us and make it happen. And I have another things tonight. Last council meeting, we heard that our one brother, he is mentioning our race, but we are here, everybody, United States of America, one nation and one God. So I requesting council president tonight, pass the resolution. Anybody, any citizen of city of Warren talking about any race, anybody, please step to the mic and pass this resolution. I am requesting you guys. So I am requesting, we have more than 25,000 people in city of Warren. I am living city of Warren last 12 years. So we have enough vote to elect our own council member.
1 minute.
And we don't want to involve with dirty politics. We respect you guys. Honorable councilman, we are voted for you guys, and we can help you guys as a community, as a voter. But I am again requesting, please don't play the dirty politics, don't divide our community. Some council members last week go to the community and divided our community. And don't stop to this kind of dirty politics. Thank you.
Thank you. Ethan Benson.
I'm here to address an issue that has come up today. We understand a court action has been filed and that there are now 2 people laying claim to the seat being held by Pat Green. I understand that there's a court hearing scheduled for Monday at 2 p.m. in front of Judge Gotti. It seems to me the prudent thing to do, rather than run the risk of any action being taken tonight being deemed invalid, would be to adjourn this meeting to next week, or either Mr. Green step down and not participate in anything else for the remainder of the night.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Jubel Ahmed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jubel Ahmed. Let me begin saying politics divides us and sports unites us. We all love sports, don't we? We are in support for all sports in our community, in our country. I feel like this auditorium is becoming my second home as most of the time after work I have to be here instead of going home to fight for my rights. Jokes apart, when we play in Texas, Florida, California, we see cricket field with beautiful dressing rooms, Tesla chargers, weekly maintenance, and here we are fighting for our right to build one cricket ground right there in one of the park. Long story short, November 7, 2021, all members of the council voted in favor of the cricket field in Helmich Park and promised it would be done by summer 2022, but somehow got lost by internal political agenda. I'm sorry to say that. Not only one cricket field, it was promised to have 2 cricket fields initially in Helmich Park, and now it's even a denial for 1 cricket field. Not sure why the project got diverted after resolution were passed, and when it's possible in all means to build a cricket field in Helmich Park. The city have funding available, blueprints done, cricket field does not interrupt any other sports facilities in Helmich Park mentioned by Park and Recreation Rep Dino. In one of the meetings across this room, Council Secretary made a remark regarding cricket ground in Helmich Park, quote, "I personally do not see a cricket ground in Helmich Park. Sounds like a discrimination rather democracy. All we want is our right, just like everyone else in this city, to maintain the growth of diversity. Now you all, the council members, have the right and power as of now to make the choices of implementing or not implementing a cricket field in Helmich Park, which will have serious consequences of your choices. Just how we elected all of you, that day is not far for us to replace these chairs. Look, we are here to request that please have the field completed at Helmich Park as soon as possible to maintain all culture, sports, diversity, to represent all residents of Warren. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Margaret Huntown. Margaret.
Good evening. According to an article posted on the Macomb Daily website on November 6th, Mr. Gary Boyk is threatening to remove President... What? Okay, how's this? Better?
A little bit.
Okay, starting all over. Good evening. According to an article posted on the Macomb Daily website on November 6th, Mr. Gary Boyk is threatening to remove President Green from office because, according to Mr. Boyk, quote, 12 years is 12 years, end quote. Mr. Boyk has presented council with a letter written by Mr. Vinson to support his claim. Mr. Schroeder was quoted in the article as stating that Mr. Vinson's letter, quote, does not have any legal effect and he is not empowered to remove any council members, end quote. Well, I was not surprised at this latest attempt by the mayor's administration to derail council. I was disheartened because it is beyond desperate. I also read the city charter, and there it is in plain English in Part 1, Chapter 4, Section 4.4, Terms of Office, Paragraph D, quote, a person shall not be eligible to hold the position of mayor, city council, city clerk, or city treasurer for more than the greater of 3 complete terms or 12 years in that particular office, end quote. President Green's 3 complete terms will be up in November 2023. Mr. Boyk's 15 minutes are up now. Moving on, item 14K on tonight's agenda is a resolution approving the use of ARPA funds by the Parks and Rec Department. The resolution clearly states, quote, this action does not allocate funds to a particular project, end quote. To be clear, the resolution does not allocate funds to a cricket field, whether in Helmich Park or elsewhere. I hope that a final location from the field will be announced and that funds for it will be allocated so that construction can begin. Finally, Mr. St. Pierre has submitted a new right-of-way use ordinance to council that prohibits panhandling in Warren because it compromises pedestrian safety. Oklahoma City tried that approach. It didn't work. I have reference to 2 cases.
1 minute.
From 2019, the U.S. 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, case number 19-6008, McCraw et al. v. City of Oklahoma City et al. And from 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court case number 20-1049, City of Oklahoma City et al. Petitioners v. Kelvin McCraw et al. In summary, the 10th Circuit Court in Oklahoma ruled against the pedestrian safety ordinance, and the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear the case, effectively upholding the 10th Circuit's decision. I am not a lawyer, and the court cases I found are not likely to be the most recent nor the last word on the subject. But these cases give me hope that there is precedent for a legal challenge to Mr. St. Pierre's latest attempt to punish poor people. And since the very last thing Warren needs is another court case, I strongly encourage council to vote against the proposed right-of-way ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary Boyke.
Good evening, Honorable Council. I am here today as a resident of Warren. Been living in Warren for over 30 years. Back in the last election, I decided I was going to run for public office as councilman at large. I've been in the government service all my life, and I've dealt with public on many occasions in different scenarios. I am here today not to remove Mr. Green. That's not my authority. I can't remove him. The same way he can't remove me from being a councilman that I was sworn in today to be a council member. I was sworn in by the clerk. I show up here, and I'm told I'm not allowed on the stage that is for elected officials. Well, he decided that it's him and the council rules that I'm not elected and I shouldn't be up there. Well, again, how was I sworn in today? Then I was presented with a restraining order. I asked if I could see the restraining order. Mr. Green gave it to me. I looked at it, and there's some items in there that is going to be discussed in circuit court on Monday. But that restraining order did not have my name on it. It did not have the city clerk's name on it. It had Mayor Fouts, who has nothing to do with this. So I'm here today, Mr. Green, like I said in an article, I respect your opinion on the 12 years. And I differ on that. I did research, and I felt that you're in error. I presented a letter to the city attorney that if the position is vacated, 1 minute, that the next person in line, as the charter says, to fill that position, that I would be interested. I was contacted, and I was told there was an attorney general opinion that supports the conclusion, but I have not seen that. I did not make a scene here today with you. I said, well, we'll let the courts decide. But at the same time, I find it very ironic that, you know, everything that, watching the meetings that you follow the charter, and here it could be a possible charter violation that maybe today's votes you shouldn't even be voting. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. And that's what I wanted to say to you today.
Thank you. Joel Vanderlinden.
Joel Vanderlinden, longtime born resident. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to come before this council and apologize for Mr. Boyke. Obviously, he doesn't understand that he's being used as a pawn by the mayor. I apologize to the citizens of Warren for Fouts being their mayor. I feel awfully responsible for helping Jim Fouts get into office 16 years ago, or 15. and I feel the blame for that, and I'm sorry. I also want to apologize for the lack of work and understanding of our Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's been contacted by numerous citizens in Warren and by this council about the actions that Mr. Faust has done against the city charter and against the people here. I also want to apologize for Gretchen Whitmer for not acting upon all the phone calls and comments and the investigations that should have been done, because her and Gretchen were too worried about their re-election and not doing the work of the citizens of Warren. I do take notice, or I take problems with some of the council members here. Mr. Papandreou, you should be ashamed of yourself, as well as the convict councilman up there, going to private meetings, speaking as a councilman, and using and bad-mouthing citizens of Warren. Actually, even endangering them by using them and pointing them out by name.
1 minute.
You are here sworn to protect the Constitution of the United States as well as the citizens of Warren, not to put a target on their head. Eddie, I'd explain it to you, but you don't know what integrity is. Being an ex-MP, that's something that's installed in you, but you don't even know what the Army models are anymore. Shame on you. I expect better from the both of you, and I think you both should be censored, if not removed. Your comments and actions endanger lives. Have a blessed day. Thank you very much.
Next item.
Next item is announcements, Mr. President.
Ms. Moore.
There's, confusion, some things going on. I think it would be appropriate to ask legal counsel to sort of explain what the issue is and how we're, Mr. Boyke's situation.
Mr. Schroeder, you want to address the interpretation?
Sure. This afternoon, we received a temporary restraining order from the Macomb County Circuit Court that applies to the mayor, but also applies to the mayor's officers, agents, servants, employees, attorneys, and all of the persons in active concert or participation with the mayor who receives this order. There was an attempt by the mayor and the city attorney to remove the Council President Green from his position. They did not follow the city charter in doing so. As a result, it resulted in more litigation. The court today put a stop to that, and for the foreseeable future, there should not be any issues. There should not be concern about any vote that takes place tonight on any of these items. When people voted in November of 2019, it was a 4-year term for all offices. All council members sitting up here served the same 4-year term. It started in November 19 and it goes to November 23. When you went to the ballot box, it said 4-year term of office. There were 4 council members removed from the ballot 4 years ago because they were deemed ineligible by the Michigan Supreme Court. The Michigan Supreme Court said they were ineligible because they would have exceeded their term of office by the time they were elected. It's, as we heard, Ms. Huntone, it's the greater of 3 complete terms or 12 years in that particular office. That's what the city charter says. The greater of 3 complete terms or 12 years. Councilman Green had a partial term where he served less than 1 year. He resigned to serve in the legislature. That partial term is not a complete term. He has not served 3 complete terms. So it's like a math problem. 3 complete terms does not equal, the greater of 3 complete terms does not equal 12 years, or the charter would have said 12 years and you're out. And as we did the research on this, we did thorough research on this. I spent days on this. We had a 20-page brief with the court today. Mr. Vincent's letter was a 1-page letter with no legal analysis saying Mr. Green is gone. Did not look at the vacancy provision in the city charter. Did not read the Supreme Court case from 2019 that cost the taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, where the Supreme Court said that once you're elected, once you're seated, once you're sworn in, once the people have put you here, that the only one that can remove them is that the council is the judge of the qualifications of its own members. The mayor can't take you out, the city attorney can't take you out. You're here because the people voted and put you here. If you think there's a problem, you come to the council, and we did that last week. The city council had a special meeting and voted to take no action on the membership of the council. After that, yesterday we received the mayor attempted to veto that, and in his veto message said he was going to cut Mr. Green off the city payroll and benefits, and we didn't know what else he would do. So that's why the mayor is the defendant in this case. The city attorney works for the mayor. The entire administration works for the mayor. And so this is what we call a separation of powers issue. So this is the legislative body of the city. The legislative body conducts its affairs, the executive branch conducts its affairs, and there's some checks and balances, but certainly to remove a council member from office, there's a provision in the charter called vacancies. You should look it up. How can we have a vacancy on this council? A death, which would be very unfortunate, a resignation, which may or may not be unfortunate, depending on your perspective. We have moving out of the city. You move out of the city. You move out of your district that you're elected to. You commit a felony related to your oath of office. That could be grounds for removal. You miss 4 consecutive council meetings without an excused absence. That creates a vacancy on the council. There's nothing that creates a vacancy because there's a new interpretation of the term limits. If that were the case, if it was 12 years and out, and we looked at this very carefully, they're trying to say that in the middle of a 4-year term that you were elected to, we're going to break that term up and we're going to put a new person in here. Well, the citizens of Warren, or the residents of Warren, voted in 2020 to amend the charter to say the mayor has the same term limits as the council. And if it was really 12 years and out, then the mayor would be gone. So the issue here is no one's trying to take the mayor out. No one should be trying to take a council member out. We got to follow the charter. The charter has a provision that if you want to challenge somebody, it comes to this body and they make the determination of the qualifications of those members. I've been practicing municipal law for 20 years. I have never seen anything like this, where you would swear somebody in secret and send them to a meeting and tell them they're the new council member. The public wasn't given advance notice of this. This is totally improper, and just because you swear someone in, you could swear in the man on the moon, and that doesn't make them a council member, okay? We have to follow the charter and the laws, and that's why we had to go to court to get this order. So I just wanted to explain that. I apologize, I was up all night working on this court case, so I had to file it this morning. We got the order at 2:50 this afternoon, so if you have any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Mr. President, Mr. Schroeder, one of the confusing things for me, and I think maybe for other people, is that when you serve 1 year in a term and then you don't add partial terms together. So you don't take 1 year from one term and then add it to 3 years in another term to make a full term. Terms are only counted in full term increments, not partial, to make up a full term. That makes sense.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements?
President.
Mr. Kabczynski.
So I have 2 of them here. Number 1, Mr. Kyle Atkins, which we all know comes to council meetings. I would ask all of us to pray for him. It was announced recently that he has 7 heart blockages and he will be having surgery on Wednesday. So I would ask everybody to keep Mr. Atkins in their prayers, please, for his surgery. The other announcement is a condemnation of Russia earlier today attacking Poland. I happen to be a Polish American, and it's very upsetting that our home country was attacked by Russia earlier today with missiles, and it hit civilian targets. I hope the federal administration will act appropriately and defend this NATO country against any further incursions. Thank you.
Any additional?
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. At last council meeting, we had a young lady come up to the microphone very distressed about a situation affecting her nature garden. outside of her home. And she explained the situation, and we happened to take a brief recess following audience, and I spoke with her and assured her that the city would work to resolve that matter. I am very pleased to let everyone know that we did indeed get that situation resolved. In fact, I think it was resolved before the end of that week. So I would like to thank not only this council for their support, from the mayor's office, the property maintenance division, the building division. I think that covers all of the departments that were activated to be all hands on deck for the resolution of this issue. The piece of property is on the Red Run Drain, and it is going to be spectacular. And I do know that one of our resident master gardeners offered seeds and plants, and so I hope they're in the ground already, because we're getting the four-letter word. I'm not going to say it. So I'm looking forward to seeing those come up in the spring and seeing what beauty can resolve from people working together. So thank you.
Thank you. Any additional? Ms. Moore.
Yes, I would like to congratulate 4 firefighters who are retired. We are certainly going to miss them. They were outstanding. Dave Evans, Chris Andere, Phil Novak, and what's the fourth one? Let me look.
Gary, who else retired?
Gary, we were all together.
Commissioner? Come on.
Starts with
S-K-R-I-N-N-E-R.
Yeah, Scrim. Yes, so congratulations to them. We thank them for the service to this community. We're very, very grateful for them, and we wish them great luck, good health, and success in their future endeavors. You know, we've known them for a long time, and they're really, really going to be missed. They're great guys. So, congratulations.
Any additional? All right, next item.
One more thing.
One more.
Yes, I just want to congratulate everybody that won their elections, their local elections here in Warren, that will be representing us. We look forward to working with everyone. And to the people that weren't successful, I have a lot of admiration for anybody that puts themselves out to run for office. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's hard to lose because people put their heart and soul into elections and spend a lot of money, and it's very disappointing, but I hope nobody ever takes that personally. It's just the circumstances at the time, and I don't think anybody should take it as a personal insult or that people don't like you or whatever. It's just not the right circumstance, the right time for you. So those people that put themselves out there and weren't successful, I hope you try again. Thank you. Next item is 11A, which was tabled. It's a public hearing. Proposed resolution to establish a speculative building designation for property at 23,500 Mound Road, Building 1, pursuant to Public Act 198 of 1974 as amended. NP Mound Road Industrial LLC, parcel ID numbers 1328-300-00018 and 1328-176-010. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. Motion to remove from the table.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty to remove from the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty to approve the district. Mr. Bomarito, this is just a district, correct?
Yes.
All right, this is just establishing the district. Anything in the future for tax abatements will come later.
It's a spec IFT.
A spec IFT.
So the district is already created.
Okay.
And what we're looking for is to build the spec building. And with this spec IFT, we can then market the building as a more desirable spot. I believe they're working with 2 or 3 end users now. So with the spec IFT, it allows us to go out and find the end user, and then they're going to have to come back and get your blessing for the final
So
IFT.
they will have to come back to us for the final approval.
With the real
198.
business, correct.
Okay, because they'll have to meet all the qualifications of job growth and investment.
That's right, yes.
Okay. All the regular stuff.
Yes.
Okay, got it, thank you. Any additional? Call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
No, the public hearing was held at a previous meeting and then it was tabled. So the public hearing was already held. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 11B, which is a public hearing, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving collection proceedings relating to the removal of a house and garage at 11123 Hudson, SAR number 517.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak regarding this item? Hearing or seeing none, I close the public hearing, turn the item over to council for action.
Motion to approve.
Support Rogancy.
Motion by Moore, support by Rogency. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 12A, which is a reconsideration that was filed 10/28/2022. Consideration and adoption of a resolution approving proposed settlement in the matter of Neil Andrew Trapp versus City of Warren et al., Macomb County Circuit Court case number 23556. NO.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the reconsideration.
Support.
Support. Motion by Lafferty, support by Moore. Who made the reconsideration?
I did.
Okay, you have 5 minutes to state your reason for a reconsideration if you need to. And then how many votes did this pass by last time? Or how fail by?
1.
It's 3-4.
It's 3-4, so we need 4. 4 in the affirmative to take the reconsideration. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President,
Ms. Rogency.
point of clarification, the vote that we're taking is to accept the reconsideration?
Yeah, the first vote will be for us to accept his reasoning for reconsideration, and then we'll call the question again.
Thank you.
So the first is just, do we want to reconsider? Mr. Lafferty.
As this is an item discussed in closed session, I will not get into the specifics. As a matter of principle, I voted to deny this particular settlement, and after additional thought and consideration, I filed my reconsideration, as I have to remember this is a business decision for and on behalf of the city. So therefore, I am asking to reconsider this vote.
Thank you. All right. Motion by Lafferty, support by Moore to reconsider. We need 4 votes. Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
No.
Mr. Kaczynski.
No.
Ms. Rogency.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. The reconsideration passed 5-2. Now, is there a motion on the original, or is there a motion on the original item?
Motion to approve the settlement as discussed in closed session.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
No.
Mr. Kaczynski.
No.
Ms. Rogency.
No.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 4-3.
Did you? Next item is 12B, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving the fiscal year 2023 grant agreement between the State of Michigan, Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, and the City of Warren, City of Centerline through the 37th District Court. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion?
Mr. President, discussion through the chair to...
Is there someone for this item? That's who it is. Come on up.
To Mr. Cervenik, please. I love thee.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Could you please explain the item
It's just the,
and introduce yourselves, please?
Richard Cervenak, I'm the MAC assigned council coordinator, and this is my assistant, Joe Vaglica. Basically, it's the grant that the state of Warren gets from the state of Michigan. It's basically covers my fee, what I get paid, what he gets paid, all the fees we pay to the court, all the court-appointed attorneys, supplies, and all that stuff. It's basically the same amount that was granted last year. We asked for basically the same amount this year, and that's in a nutshell.
Very good. Thank you.
Can you give us, for the public that's watching and for the people here, what the Indigent Defense Council does?
The Indigent Defense Council is strictly for individuals who are charged with crimes, who are deemed to be indigent. They have a constitutional right to have an attorney present. We appoint an attorney if they're deemed to be indigent, and then the state of Michigan, through the grant, is how the attorneys get paid for their services at a very discounted price.
Got it. Any additional? Thank you. Call the question, Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mrs. Rogancy?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Council.
Next item.
12C, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving a Michigan Department of Transportation performance resolution for governmental agencies for annual application and permit for miscellaneous operations within state highway right-of-way. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
12E, request of Lori Barnwell, City Treasurer, for approval to open a money market account with Independent Bank. So moved.
Point of order?
12D was taken off the agenda.
Oh, thank you.
Motion by Moore.
Support Lafferty.
Support by Lafferty. Discussion. I have a question.
She's gone.
She left?
She's her coat's there.
But we'll wait. We'll wait. Yes. We'll wait. I'm sorry. She sat here so long, you got to ask him a question. Exactly.
Good evening.
Good evening. Is there a reason why we have to get a separate bank for some accounts?
Right, so per the city charter, we have, and anytime there is a new banking relationship, I have to come before your body. And we had kind of a situation where nothing bad, but 3 of our banks for the city all merged together into one bank. So under our city charter, we can only have 50 million with one financial institution. So we've kind of had to really try to expand our banking relationships to make sure that we are in compliance with our city charter. So this new bank, they are Michigan-based, which I really like, Independent Bank, and as well as they're looking to expand their footprint in Macomb County. They already have one branch in Macomb, but they're looking to open another one. They're also looking to expand their footprint in Wayne County as well. So they really want to be a community bank and really expand their relationships in our community.
Thank you. Any additional?
Mr. President.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Are you just limited to doing financial transactions with banks and not credit unions?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and part of the reason for that, just based on my opinion, well, it's in our city charter, but banks are, at least some of our investments are backed by the FDIC. So I know that's very important when especially when we do CDs and those kind of things, those are backed by the FDIC. So that's a really important protection for our city tax dollars.
Thank you. Call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
13A, it was a veto file 10/14/2022. Council President Patrick Green and Secretary Mindy Moore discussion in Ray administration's filing of litigation against the state of Michigan. The court has ruled against the city of Warren, and this item is really moot at this point.
Yeah.
So I think we can move on. 13B, Councilmember Angela Rogancy, in Ray, consideration and adoption of a resolution to direct City Attorney's Office to initiate civil nuisance case in Macomb County Circuit Court against Open Door Capital LLC at SEC relating to Landmark Estates Mobile Home Park. Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Rogancy. Discussion, Councilwoman Rogancy.
Thank you, President Green. If communications could pull up the presentation that I had prepared. Thank you. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of history around why we are seeking council support on this item. If you go to the next slide. So Landmark Estates is owned by Landmark Capital and was purchased around July of 2021 from a prior owner. It is located on DeQuinder here in the city. It's a manufactured housing community with residents often owning their trailers and renting the lot that their trailers sit on within the park. Some of the residents are renting to own their trailers, rent their trailers and a lot, or own their trailer and pay lot rent every month to the ownership group. The park has fallen into complete disrepair year over year, with major infrastructure issues occurring regularly. Next slide. So the problem at Landmark Estates is there is a new ownership group that is a private equity firm out of state who has historically not been responsive to resident complaints. As you heard a number of the residents here during audience speaking about some of the challenges that they have. Past ownership did not invest nearly what was needed in capital investments to keep the infrastructure running appropriately. I've worked for months with the residents here and city departments to try to remedy some of the issues with the ownership group themselves in person at the park and also via Zoom. Residents have had issues with raw sewage, rat infestation, poor water pressure, uncertainty around water quality in their trailers, missing or never received their titles to their trailers. Can you imagine trying to fix your water heater because it's broken but not knowing if you even own it or if you're renting it? They have a number of unsecured trailers that have not been cleaned out, which cause a number of issues with health and safety standards. Residents have a class action lawsuit in circuit court against the ownership group, and a group called MH Action is helping residents organize for city and statewide changes to the laws that govern manufactured housing. Next slide. So these are some photos. I've door knocked this community and spent some time there. This is a vacant tag trailer that is completely unsecured. Obviously, this contributes to rat infestation problems that these residents have in their community. Next slide. This is a picture of one of the residents that spoke today, taking a photo from inside another tagged vacant trailer. As you can see, food and debris is just left. This trailer was secured, and so we were not able to go into it, but these trailers are left for months before anyone does anything with them. And the ownership group attests that they can rehab these trailers and somehow make them livable again, which I would vehemently argue against. Next slide. This is another vacant trailer that's tagged sitting. As you can see, there's some work or someone is doing something where they've taken some wiring out of it, holes in the wall. Next slide. They also deal with tremendous amount of infrastructure issues. So the slide to the left is a tree that is growing into someone's porch, where that is clearly unsafe. The tree has not been removed. On the right, where they do demolish trailers, you see uneven concrete. You see a stub of a tree covered up with some branches. One of the residents' wife, who was pregnant, was chasing one of their children and rolled their ankle on these slabs. They're all broken and uneven and pose a danger to the number of children and folks who, particularly in this community, a number of disabled folks that are in the park. Next slide. This is an example on the left of some infrastructure, water infrastructure that has no cap, a sewer line, I imagine. I don't think whatever is wrapped around it is up to code. I am not a building inspector, but that is just completely exposed to the world and on the ground. The picture to the right is a hole where rats and possums go underneath the trailer and the skirting of the trailer. You do see a bait box next door. One of the trailers I went into, a gentleman pulled out all of the stuffing from the floor where they have kept, where the rats have ate through the bottom of his trailer, where he is attempting to keep the rats from coming into his trailer at night. Next slide. I think this is the last one. So as you see, another tree growing into someone else's trailer, damaging the trailer, obviously imposing a number of safety issues to that trailer and its residents should there be a storm or something and that tree falls. And then to the right, I have no idea what kind of infrastructure this is, if this is plumbing. Again, not an inspector, but I would imagine this is not up to code in any way, shape, or form. I think that's the last one. Next slide. Oh, no. This is another vacant trailer, completely unsecured. The window is open, refrigerator, holes in the floor. Anyone can go into these trailers at any point in time and do any kind of nefarious activity. Next slide. Is that the last one? Perfect, thank you. So what I would like to do is the ownership group continues to not invest in a number of these improvements that are needed in order to help ensure the quality of life for the residents. And so I would like to, this body, support the city attorney's office in filing a civil nuisance case in Macomb County Circuit Court so the folks in this community can have livable and quality health conditions.
Mr. President?
Ms. Moore.
I have a question. So what would the effect of creating the civil nuisance be? When we've done it in the past, we basically put them out of business. We shut them down. So if that happens in this case, is there alternative for where are people going to live? That if this place is shut down, they're going to lose their homes, right? The effect of it could be that, so what happens, is there something in place that if you're successful, that there's some place for the residents to go?
So it's a very fine balance in making sure that we're not displacing people from their homes while also trying to improve the conditions of the community. No one wants to displace anyone from their homes, certainly, and I think it's just a very delicate balance between the ownership group, the building and property, as well as the city attorney's office, and making sure that folks are not displaced in any way.
Right. So I understand there's some litigation involved.
Landlord-tenant.
Yes. So, it's landlord-tenant? I thought it was a class action of some sort.
Well, I say they have, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but they have, it's landlord-tenant.
It's a group.
Yes.
It's a group. Okay, all right, I understand. I certainly want to help these people out. These conditions are deplorable.
There's also, we can look at amending our own ordinance. The manufactured housing community has a very strong lobby and has very strong laws in their favor, but I think it was 2013, the state changed it that you can add, if it is a rental trailer, you can add it to your property maintenance inspections, which we didn't add to our ordinance. So at the same time, can we ask the city attorney's office to add that to our rental division?
That would be fantastic.
Make that part of your motion?
Yes, I would like the city attorney to also.
Because that gives us the ability, because their argument was that's one big parcel is all their property, and you can't get on all that without the owner's, the park owner's permission. But if we call the rentals, then that gives us the authority to go on.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Agree?
Yeah, certainly.
Any additional?
Mr. President?
Mr. Watts?
I'd just like to say I fully support whatever we do here. Ms. Rogancy called me about this park and mentioned Twin Pines Trailer Park on 11 Mile between Sherwood and Mound, and I went to both parks. And I have to tell you, if you think these pictures are bad at Landmark Estates, you need to drive through there.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And that's two parks I've been in, and then there is at the Lawrence and Stevens area. I think one is Jackson Trailer Park and the other one is Motor City Trailer Park. I've turned in complaints from residents on those as well, and they are equally as bad. And I know that there's just been some stuff turned over from the state to us, but I think we really need to pick up the pace because nobody should be living in this kind of condition.
or near it.
Yeah, it's just, it's unbelievable. And it seems like these, you know, here we got another venture capitalist firm coming in, and the last time we dealt with one was Art Van Furniture. What'd they do? They disturbed everybody's life, got people unemployed, and what are they gonna do with this? I mean, it's clear, I don't have to be a builder, you're not rehabbing some of those units.
No.
So I fully support this, and, you know, I just hope that we can help. If some people have to be relocated, I hope we can help them, and the ones that we can fix, I hope that we can force them to fix it, so.
Thank you.
Any additional?
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Rogancy also contacted me, reached out. I also support this. One of the mobile home parks is in my district, and absolutely correct. By all accounts, it is squalor, or less than squalor. No one should be living under these conditions. So I fully support this. Let's get the help they need. Unfortunately, I've seen that, you know, just like the case across the street, which we've been looking at now for 2 years, the Body by Bruce property, causing problems in that neighborhood. These things take time, but we will prevail. I am absolutely certain of it. Human life, humanity comes first. So thank you. Well done.
Any additional? Call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski. Yes. Green votes yes. Item passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item is 13C, which is settlement pursuant to the terms discussed in closed session in the matter of Diamond Burnside versus Police Officer Lucas Doe in City of Warren, case number 2021-002013NI. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
No.
Mr. Kaczynski.
No.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 5-2. Next item.
Next item is 14A, request of the 37th District Court for an increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $400,000 to cover the cost of architectural and design engineering services for the new 37th District Court building, consideration and adoption of a resolution so moved with emphasis.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
14B, request of the 37th District Court for an increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $44,025 for sufficient funding for the balance of the 2023 fiscal year, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
14C, request of the 37th District Court for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations in the amount of $90,000 to account for the receipt of a grant from the Michigan Drug Court Grant Program, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
14D, request of the Controller's Office for an adjustment in budgeted revenues and appropriations for indigent defense special revenue funds in the amount of $825,807.09, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
14E, request of the Fire Department for an increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $333,936 to account for the increased cost to purchase 2 fire engine pumpers and 1 quintuple combination pumper. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 7-0. Next item.
14F, request of the Fire Department for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations in the amount of $400,000 to account for the receipt of a grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, partial funding for a technical heavy rescue truck. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Commissioner? Thanks for being here.
Good evening, Council.
Evening. This is partial?
Yeah, yes.
Partial funding? Where's the rest of it coming from? Is that from the previous item?
It is part of the total purchase of the 4 vehicles.
What's the balance of the technical heavy rescue? In excess of the 400,000. I guess my question is, we're moving money around. We're getting some grant money, we're moving some money around. But how much is the heavy rescue?
Actual cost of the heavy rescue, hold on, let me look through here.
I didn't see that in the backup. I was unable to locate it.
I'm sorry, I don't know what, I gotta figure out what
Can you
page.
get that to me tomorrow?
Yes, I do have, it's in here, but yes, it's approximately 538,000.
On top of the 400?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any additional? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea? Green votes yes. Item passed 6-0. Next item.
14G, request of the Fire Department to approve the purchase of 4 fire apparatus from Sutphin Corporation utilizing the Sourcewell Cooperative Contract number 113021 for a grand total of $3,914,816.81. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion.
Mr. President.
Mr. Watts.
I'd just like to say, being part of the apparatus committee, I've had some discussions with Mr. McAdams, and I've talked to quite a few of the firefighters in the last few months about where we're headed with this. We were supposed to have gotten this done a couple years ago, but for one reason or another, here we are, just now getting around to it. I don't have any problem with this. I've talked to the people that it's most important to is the firefighters. They're the ones that use those rigs every day, and they're happy with these rigs. Sutphin's a good rig. It's a quality rig. It's built in Ohio, and their claim to fame is they're a hand-built rig. I've been to that factory. It's been a few years, and when they tell you it's hand-built, you know, they make machines to do that these days, and they still do it by hand, so you're getting a quality product. Unfortunately, most of these rigs are 24 months out, so at least by getting the order in, getting a deposit in there, we're going to have some rigs coming, and I'm happy to hear that we're getting, you know, $400,000 to support that heavy rescue. So I'm all in favor of this. Let's get this thing going so that we can get these trucks built and get them here.
Don't forget about the one that's delivered for February.
Oh, that's right. You got one that you snagged that's coming in February. So, I mean, in 2 years, we're going to be due rigs in 2 years, so this is going to work really good.
Can we get
for some turnover.
Fleet rotation program going then? as opposed to one big check, a bunch of little checks?
I would much rather prefer that we do a rotation of vehicles. This amount of money, it should be closer to $1 million per year.
It makes your budgeting easier.
And to get on a proper schedule.
Right.
But we're getting close to being able to do that.
If we did one rig a year, that would be good turnover,
Yes.
you know, so
I don't know why it's so low.
outstanding.
Call the question. Ms. Moore?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passes 7-0. Next item.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Commissioner.
14H, request of the Police Department for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations in the amount of $81,446 to account for the receipt of a 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant and to defray the cost of 120 Optiplex 7000 computer towers. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion? Ms.
Mr.
Moore?
President?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who called?
I'm just curious where these are going. Are these in the station?
Cap?
Good evening, Council. I believe your question was the location for the computers?
Yes.
Yeah, this particular grant is allocated towards, we're looking to replace 120 towers. There are in-station computers, the desktops.
Okay. I have no problem with that. I just wanted to, it seemed like a lot for the station, but I guess in reality it's not.
No, it isn't. Our existing computers are pretty old, and they no longer are running the software that we need to run. They no longer accept the updates that we need to have for the software that we need. So.
Okay, thank you.
It's great. You get new software, but then you got to buy new hardware to make it work. And
right.
Can't use Internet Explorer, but
we just want to get up to Windows 10.
Right?
Right.
95. Windows 95.
Thank you.
Sorry. Next, anybody else? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passes 7-0. Next item.
14I, request of the Communications Department for an increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $35,000 to cover the increase in HVAC maintenance and janitorial services. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Rogency. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passes 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 14J, request for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations of the MTF debt service and MTF operating as needed to account for and pay the debt service payment. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passes 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 14K, consideration and adoption of a resolution allocating $5.7 million in ARPA funding for parks and recreation projects.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Support Rogency.
Motion by Lafferty, support by Rogency. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you, Mr. President. This item is far too important for me to speak off the cuff, and so I prepared a statement. Tonight, we're asked several times for detail and transparency, and everyone deserves that in government. So we don't have to continue going through this over and over again. Now, relative to the item in front of us tonight, there is much disinformation being disseminated to those who support construction of a cricket field. It's in a bold attempt to divide the Bangladeshi community, and it has to stop. So let's review the facts. That's how this council makes its decisions, based on data, facts, and careful consideration as to how the impact on citizens and neighborhoods we represent. In November 2021, this council considered a resolution proposing to establish 2 cricket fields at Hellmich Park. As with many resolutions that come before the council, we discussed the resolution, approved it, and sent it forth to the administration for action. In late June, a proposal to renovate Hellmich Park was received in the engineering office and was subsequently sent to council sometime later. That proposal called for the construction of 1 cricket field and a complete overhaul of the park in 2 phases, equaling nearly $17 million. While many of the elements contained within the proposal have merit, many other elements require further scrutiny before a plan of this magnitude would even receive its first public hearing. Bottom line, the proposal was far removed from what council had requested and required many changes before consideration would be given by this body. We promised that we would instead gather together in a committee of the whole, as we did on October 26th, and after a discussion with Mr. Turcato, receiving comments from many of the members of the public, many of you who are here tonight, witnessed the discussion firsthand, and the council requested the following of Mr. Turcato. Number 1, an improvement plan for the existing cricket field at Trombley Park. Number 2, provide the number of options for renovating Hellmich Park, including the construction of a cricket field. We asked for multiple options, different variations. Number 3, an installation proposal of a new cricket field at Shaw Park. Number 4, status and timetable of the new splash pad at Wiegand Park. Number 5, status and timetable of the new skate park at Eckstein Park. Number 6, reports on the issues and the defects with the Warren Lions Pavilion at Hellmich Park, a pavilion they pay for and maintain, including the estimated funding required to remediate the identified defects. Number 7, an updated expenditure report of the $3.9 million already allocated to the Parks and Recreation Department in 2019, including a line item and total balance of the unencumbered funds not yet used. Number 8, a status report on the issues affecting the Civic Center fountain, including the temporary ice rink that was illegally acquired by the misuse of the emergency purchase ordinance by the mayor, and also included the plan to move the miniature Dawn sculpture from the center of the ice arena, or the ice rink, to Civic Center South. We further agreed that once these items were received, that we would reconvene a committee of the whole to review all of the requested plans. To date, none of them have been submitted to council for consideration, including the multiple options for redeveloping Hellmich Park, Trombley Park, Shaw Park. That is where your input will be most needed. It is also a fact that the item before us right now does not build a cricket field. Not in Hellmich, not in Trombley, and not in Shaw Park. To be abundantly clear, quoting from the resolution, the City Council recognizes the dedication of $5.7 million in ARPA grant funds for long-term remedial and capital improvement projects in various parks consistent with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. For those of you who were encouraged to come here tonight to advocate for this item, your voice and your advocacy are most certainly not in vain. However, if you attended a town hall this past Saturday where 2 members of this council spoke without the authority to represent this body and speak on our behalf, you were misled to believe that the passage of this item would put shovels into the ground tomorrow to build a new cricket field. That is not the intent of this item, either in its written form or inferred. And you can read it. Quoting again, the resolution further states, and this is from the resolution, this action does not allocate funds to a particular project, but rather establishes a base of funding to be used to develop projects via an RFP committee, request for proposals, to solicit bids and present contracts to City Council for formal approval. Not one mention of cricket in this resolution. This funding could be used for anything. Now be warned, this administration has a checkered history for fiscal irresponsibility, as evidenced by the past practices of the Downtown Development Authority, whose budget was zeroed out by this council to prevent further illegal expenditures of taxpayer dollars. Now, requests for project funding will generally be preceded by the establishment of an RFP committee. If funding to begin the RFP process is required, an allocation for that specific project can be requested if the department does not have the requisite funds in their account. The RFP will define scope, publish the project for interested contractors to bid on, and then review the bids received and forward that recommendation on to council for an award of contract. That's where we want to get to. Only then will the exact amount required to fund the project be allocated. That is not what is in front of us tonight. Then and only then will we be able to break ground. None of the elements that I mentioned earlier are included in this resolution, and we still appear to be months away from that occurring. We held our committee meeting of the whole. Those many items I mentioned to you moments ago still have not been sent to council. Now, we all voted in support of building a field for everyone to enjoy, so let's not lose sight of that objective. Do not allow, please, politics, or those ignorant enough to suggest that racism or prejudice has any impact on the decision to build a field. Furthermore, it does not matter who gets the credit for the field or where it is, but it will matter if that field never gets built. I'm going to quote Mr. Faisal Ahmed. He spoke very eloquently at the council meeting on November 9th, 1 year ago, and he was speaking about all of the young players. Quote, "They don't understand the politics. They just want to play their game." Beautiful. To Ms. Muni Rahman, 2 weeks ago, you spoke at our committee of the whole about the subpar conditions at Helmich Park. We heard you loud and clear, and we agree with you. Over the last 3 years, we have invested over $6 million into new play structures, pavilion repair, and new restroom facilities. It took many years of neglect for the administration, by this administration, for our parks to deteriorate into the condition they are in today. The city simply does not have enough money to repair all of those parks in 1 year and in a single budget cycle. So this council has to prioritize. The decision to prioritize one park over another does not make anyone a second-class citizen simply because the park nearest your home has not been upgraded or a cricket field is installed at one park over another. That is simply not true. No one is treated as a second-class citizen in our city. A cricket field anywhere in the city will be a gem for everyone to enjoy. Please also remember that our budget is not just about new construction either. We must also maintain our current infrastructure. Thus far, the administration has not demonstrated the capability to hire adequate staff, offer competitive wages and benefits, or retain talent sufficient to maintain our 30-plus parks and facilities. We want to build beautiful new parks, but these parks will not take care of themselves. If we are going to prevent the decay from the past from affecting the improvements of the future, we must also invest in appropriate staffing to maintain those amenities. To summarize, this item tonight is requesting an allocation of $5.7 million in ARPA funds. Now, compared to all other previous requests for park improvements, we were not provided a proposed plan. We were always provided a proposed plan and exact dollar figure to consider. Most, if not all, of the previous plans submitted to council were paid from the general revenue fund. not from ARPA, and in fact, before ARPA even existed. Development of a cricket field at one of our parks does not require ARPA funds. Now, as I said 1 year ago, with the establishment of the cricket field when it was first proposed, quote, "Do not make this political, Mr. Fouts. Send a plan and then send an appropriation and we will have our cricket field. We are waiting." This council promised we would solicit input on how best to allocate that ARPA funding. You may recall the council hired Guidehouse, an expert consultant, to assist the city manager in allocating and managing these funds and to ensure those funds were properly allocated. Federal funds have very strict rules for use. With these funds available until 2024, there is absolutely no justification to allocate funding without the proper due diligence and to ensure maximum community benefit. Our next steps following this meeting is to await the submission of the proposals requested at the Committee of the Whole. Once those are received, we will schedule another committee meeting to review and receive your input on each and every proposal. From there, the council will consider the options presented. How quickly those options are presented is up to the administration, not this council. Following the receipt of those proposals, listening to your input, I'm repeating myself, we will ask for and we will expect a request for appropriating the funds from the general operating fund explicitly for the establishment of a cricket field. Similar to many of the items under Section 14 of our agenda tonight. Look at that for reference. Not a request for $5.7 million without any plan whatsoever. We can still be the epicenter for cricket right here in Warren and recognized the world over. Let's do it right. With a correct proposal for funding, a cricket field amongst many other improvements for the parks, serving our neighborhoods, and that is what our residents deserve. Thank you.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Mr. Lafferty raises a very good point, and I'm going to offer an amendment to the resolution I hope he concurs with, that priority be given, add to the resolution. You're right, it doesn't mention a cricket field. It doesn't mention a cricket field. Let's add to the resolution that priority be given to construction of a cricket field at Helmich Park. If you concur, we'll make that part of the resolution.
Mr. President? Are you done? Oh, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Mr. President?
Ms. Moore, then Ms. Robinson.
So, a year ago, I was under the impression when we did the resolution that we were also open to other options for where to put a cricket field. And I thought that was the discussion. I truly thought that the resolution was amended to include looking at other options, that it wasn't just how much, that it could be another park. But my issue is with ARPA funds. When we were told we were getting ARPA funds, we promised the residents that we would hold public meetings throughout the city to get input of how we wanted to spend those funds. A lot of those funds have already been dedicated to infrastructure and a few other things, but there are needs throughout the whole city that we promised people they would have input into that. And no decision has been made what to do with the rest of the ARPA funds. And this was just, thrown in. We talked about before, we haven't talked, this never even came up at budget time, and we're going to be having a budget, here in this, we'll be pretty quick here. But I am not, at this point, willing to expend these ARPA funds without a strict plan of where everything's going. We have ADA compliance issues to be dealt with through the whole city. And we have internet issues that we have to address. cybersecurity issues that we have to address, and other things. So until we hear from and have these town hall that we talked about going through the city to get input, I'm not comfortable with putting that ARPA funds. Now, if they want to come up with a different funding mechanism, we can look at it with a specific plan as Mr. Lafferty laid out. I'm good with that. But at this point, I'm not comfortable with appropriating the ARPA funds.
Point of order, Mr. President.
What's your point of order, Mr. Papandrea?
What about my proposed amendment to the resolution specifying?
He didn't respond to it, so.
I will respond. I'm letting everyone have an opportunity here.
Thank you.
Ms. Rogensen.
Through the chair, I have two questions for Mr. Turcato and Mr. Fox, if you could.
Good evening, Council.
Thank you. My first question is to Mr. Turcato. Mr. Turcato, does the Parks and Recreation Department have a master plan?
We do have a master plan, and we issued you a plan 3 years ago on the steps we were going to take for the parks, correct?
And did you submit to me via email somewhat of a summary of where monies have been allocated for the parks, just for my reference, that I believe I shared with a number of residents, where money has been allocated for each park within the city?
Yes, I did that for you, and I did that for other council members when asked, yes.
Okay. And have you submitted plans for Helmich Park, which includes a cricket field, to this body? I have not. I know that I've seen them, but I know that they've probably been sent through and just not made it on the agenda.
I have sent 2 sets of plans, you're correct. The first one was a little different. This last one is the one we enjoyed from HRC, correct?
Okay,
yes.
And that was done by an engineering firm, correct?
It is. HRC, our engineering firm, working with our engineer, Tina Gaspy, correct.
Okay. And will you develop RFPs with this $5.7 million that will then have to come back to this council for final approval? So if we disagree with some of the plans that you're doing, we then would have a vote in order to vote against that. Is that correct?
That is correct, and it also will help us, this money allocated, that I would be able to go out for matching grant funds, and that's very important that we have it sitting in the bank when you go out for matching grant funds for the state. So yes, it's very important.
Okay, thank you. And do you plan to have a cricket field amongst other ADA compliance and other things that people have voiced at this meeting, but also have voiced multiple times over about the vast improvements our park needs? Will that be included in your RFPs that you'll bring back to this body?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And Mr. Fox, just to clarify, ARPA funds, as I know, so that there's no confusion, ARPA funds can be used for most community benefit. They cannot be used for labor. The city of Westland has built a community center with their ARPA funds. This is a totally appropriate use that gives maximum community benefit to my colleague, Mr. Lafferty, I think, because most people use the parks in this community or would like better parks in this community. Is that accurate?
That's correct. The parks are certainly eligible for, parks throughout the city are eligible for ARPA, so the 5.7 certainly is eligible, and what it would do is it gives the RFP committee the basis that they have dollars for park improvements, and as we do the RFP, which a council member from this council will be on the committee, as we're going through whatever park, the cricket court, we'll know the dollars that we have available while we're doing the RFP. So I think it's a prudent thing to do to set the 5.7 million up, and as the RFP committee meets, they know the funding they have available.
And approximately what is the balance of ARPA funds that remain for things like cybersecurity and other things that Mrs. Moore mentioned?
I believe it'll be over like $5 million still available for those other items.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
You want to respond to his point of order?
Mr. Watts.
Mr. Watts.
Thank you. I don't even know where to go. I'm not going to repeat everybody.
Are we all set? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Do you have a question for them, Mr. Watts?
No, I don't.
I do.
So I met with some of the people from the community about the cricket fields, and I gave my commitment that, yes, let's do a cricket field. We're updating our parks. We sent the resolution over, and here we are a year later, and the mayor has never sent a plan over saying, hey, we need 100,000, whatever the dollar figure is. I don't know. I don't know anything about cricket. You know, I know that the younger generation, and it's coming back to the States and everything, people love to play it, let's do it. It's good. It's good recreation. So let's get it done. But everybody comes here and yells at us that it's not done. It's not us that didn't get it done. It's the administration. They never sent a plan over. They never sent money. We give them money, and they don't spend it for what they're supposed to spend it for. And now they sent us over for $5.7 million. Shake your head, Mr. Chiccato, all you want, but that's the truth of it, because I've uncovered enough of it, and we have many court cases going over it. So they sent this over tonight, 5.7, with absolutely no commitment to anything in it. And as Mr. Lafferty requested, he had a whole list of items he requested, and here we are a couple weeks later and still don't have answers to that. I can't trust this administration. I was elected by the residents of this city to be fiscally responsible and to watch your dollars you're paying in taxes. And you know what you're getting for your tax dollars? You're not getting anything. The mayor is banking your money and not fixing anything. Look at this. Our parks were never like this, ever. Until this administration came along and cut all the funding, eliminated all the employees, and here we are, and Mr. Toccato's taking a beating over it because he inherited it. But I am not going to commit to any money, to anything without a plan. We need to do a cricket field, that's fine. We need to fix the bathrooms. We need to fix the ball fields. We need to fix everything. And then on top of the Helmich Park, where I have a problem, is the Lions Club has been using that park for 50 years for their annual fair. And they've been paying money to use it. They built the pavilion, they built all that, and now they're going to tear their pavilion down that they built and replace it and not give them a place to be? That ain't right either. There's plenty of room for cricket fields. We just don't. Why do we want to do that to the Lions Club? They've been here forever too. They're entitled to that. They spent the money for it. So send a plan. I'm committed. I'll vote yes on cricket fields. I voted yes before. But send a plan with the money and where it's going to be at, and you got a yes vote for me. I'm good to go.
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Papandrea, I do agree with the specificity around the allocation for cricket. I want this to be done correctly. I don't want it to be a fly-by-night proposal. Now, we held that committee of the whole, and I outlined the 8 items. In case you missed the meeting, those were the 8 items that we requested. Is that not correct, Mr. Turcato? Those 8 items that we requested. You were sitting 6 people away from me.
Those items were requested. At that point, I thought you told me the council was going to send me a copy. I have not received that copy. It could be up in the mayor's office, but I have not received that copy from council.
All right. Ms. Moore?
Hang on. Your office is across the hall from our office.
Pardon me?
Your office is across the hall from our office.
It is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
But they're not there if that's what you're asking me.
All right. So the one question that I do have to Mr. Fox, for other items that we have been asked for to allocate funding for matching grants that have been on our agendas in the past, those allocations, where do they typically come from?
It depends on the fund, wherever the
the general revenue fund?
Sometimes from general revenue, yeah.
Special revenue fund, general revenue fund, not ARPA. But we're asking for, if Mr. Turcato is in need of funding for a matching grant, can he apply for matching grants with an appropriation from the general revenue fund?
He could, but I mean, it makes sense that we got the ARPA funds, and that should be
understood.
Maximize the matching grants.
If those ARPA funds were held off, like I said, we've got until 2024. It doesn't have to burn a hole in our pocket like a teenager with their allowance.
I'm going to state for the record that the federal government is going to be looking at cities across the country of whether or not they're spending their dollars. So waiting until 2024 is a risk.
So as we've requested from this body before, let's meet to discuss the allocations and stop all of the back and forth between the mayor's office and council to get that done.
I would suggest the council designate someone for the RFP committee.
Hold on a second.
We can start meeting right away.
We can start right away. We have the money in the general revenue fund. We don't necessarily need to allocate ARPA funding for it. That's my point.
We don't have the dollars in the general fund to make this big of an improvement.
How many millions do we have in the rainy day fund? We don't have a couple $1 million to give to Mr.
Parks and
Turcato?
Recreation's a special revenue. Their fund doesn't have the dollars to put into that.
Then where did the $3.7 million come from?
That item came from the general fund at that time.
Oh, okay. So it was used. So that was done before. So we have past practice. Mr. Papandrea, what I would suggest then, because Mr. Turcato has not yet obtained a list of what we asked for from the Committee of the Whole 2 weeks ago, that we submit that list. And maybe perhaps Ms. Camp can walk that list right over to Mr. Turcato's office directly without going through the mayor's office. And then you'll be in receipt of all of those items. And then at that time, we can have an appropriation request come over to us specific for building a cricket field in the most suitable park based on the proposals submitted. Does that sound acceptable?
No.
Does not?
Mr. President.
Mr. Papandrea.
These people are tired of running around. They don't want to be caught in a conflict between you and the mayor. It's a very simple item on the agenda. Allocate $5.7 million to get this project going and add the caveat, priority be given to a cricket field at Helmich Park. These people are not second-class citizens. They deserve to be in our primary park. They have picnics there almost every weekend in the summer. They use that park more than any other ethnic group. They are not second-class citizens. They deserve to be at Helmich Park. Don't put them in between you and your fight with the mayor. Let's just pass this resolution. $5.7 million. Get this project going.
Thank you, Mr. Papandrea. Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Listen, I'm not going to set up here and listen to this garbage coming from across this table. Because this mayor had a whole year, and I told Delwar Ansar at the meeting, we're going to send this over, and I'll bet you the mayor never gets it done. And here we are a year later, and it's not.
You're not getting it done. You're the one not getting it done. Quit pointing your finger at the mayor. You're the one.
I don't run the city day to day.
You don't run the city at all.
Gentlemen.
What do you do?
I'm trying to push this city forward. I'm trying to help people get what they deserve.
Mr. President.
Mr. Kabazinski.
Thank you. Can I speak?
Please.
I have a question for the controller, sir.
Mr. Fox.
Yes, Councilman Kabazinski.
Sir, you said that there was an expiration date on the ARPA funding.
Correct.
What is that expiration date to your knowledge right now?
It's in 2024.
But we don't have a specific month?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact month, but it's in 2024. But as I stated earlier, the federal government's going to be looking for dollars like the state does and all the cities do. And if we're going to keep putting off our commitments to these dollars, it's very possible that they could start taking them back.
You don't need to convince me. I just wanted to find out what the actual expiration date was in 2024, if you have.
I can call you tomorrow with that. I don't know what's off the top of my head.
As far as the park is concerned, irregardless of what anybody thinks about the ARPA funds, I call it the Biden funny money because it doesn't have any financial backing to it at all. And I figure we better use this money now before it comes back to bite us in the rear end if we don't use it. So let's use it. We have to use it. We don't have a choice about using it. We will lose out if we don't use it. And if it can go to take care of the park and get the cricket field done, I'm all for it. It sounds like we will have some money remaining after this is completed to do everything else that everybody wants to do. with this here, the internet security or whatever has to be done internally. But we need to use this. We need to get rid of it as quickly as possible and move on with life. So if it's going to help with the cricket field and the parks, let's get it done and use this $5.7 million to get it done. Mr. Cotto needs the RFP to get it going, and that's what it sounds like this is here for. So I'm all for this. I said I was for this at the meeting, irregardless of any other nonsense that was spoken here. I was mainly there in favor of the cricket field and answered those questions to that effect. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Ms. Moore.
So 2024 is the date to have the funds encumbered, not for the funds to be spent.
Correct.
Right.
Mr. Lafferty.
I asked for this not to become political. I asked for that a year ago, not to become political. We need to build a cricket field, but we need to plan to do it correctly. So I'm going to move to table the general allocation of the $5.7 million in ARPA funds pending receiving citywide resident input and further exploration of the use of those ARPA funds under the advice and consultation of Guidehouse, and further re-request the completion of the request of council per the October 26th Committee of the Whole that many of these people attended, including an appropriation from the General Revenue Fund specific to building a cricket field in the most suitable park based on the proposal submitted. Support.
Motion by Lafferty, support by Watts to table. Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
No.
Ms. Rogency.
No.
Mr. Papandreou.
No.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item's tabled 4-3. Next item.
14L, which was 4L, which is consideration and adoption of a resolution to authorize right-of-way dedication of Zagolski Avenue, parcel number 12-13-23-476-011. Motion to approve, Mr. President. I ask for this to be moved from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. I have answered.
Mr. President.
I have looked, researched, and found the answer, so I'm in favor of it.
Can we have order in the audience,
Motion
please?
to approve. Is there a second?
What's your item?
It was which was consideration adoption resolution to authorize right-of-way dedication of Zagolski Avenue, parcel number 12-13-23-476-011. Motion to approve.
Motion by Moore.
Support Lafferty.
Discussion? Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
What's the motion?
Motion is to approve item.
I pulled from the consent right-of-way on Zagolski.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Motion by Moore, support by Moore. Lafferty. Watts, yes. Kaczynski.
No.
Ms. Rogency.
Can you please clarify?
We're approving a authorization for a right-of-way dedication on Zagolski parcel 121323476011.
Yes.
Thank you. Green votes yes. Item passed 5-1. Next item.
Next item is 14M, which was 4M on the consent. Request for rezoning with conditions located on 12 Mile Road, 311 feet east east of Grobel Drive from the present zoning classification C2, General Business District, and P, Parking District, to C3, Wholesale and Intensive Business District, 5580 12 Mile Road, Section 17, 12 Mile Development, LLC, Michael McPherson, Symmetry Property Management Petitioner, set a public hearing date for December 13, 2022.
Motion to approve, sorry.
Support.
To set a public hearing date.
Okay.
Is it to set a public hearing? Yeah.
This is setting a public, this is
Thank
setting
you.
the date in December.
You don't misread. I misread it.
That's okay.
I did the same thing, so.
Thank you.
Okay, no action needs to be taken on this item.
Right.
Next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.